Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome all of you here. I'm Ferenc Munk, co-founder and head of design at FF Next and leader of UI Academy. Welcome to our special webinar. I'm really excited to have you all here, and unfortunately due to some technical issues we lost the initial part of our stream, but no worries, I've recorded this quick intro to make sure everyone is caught up and ready for an exciting session. Today we are diving into a live redesign of a famous hamburger brand's website. I'm joined by the incredible András Pop, and together we will walk you through our UX UI decision-making process, and Peter Harold, our Rockstar alumni, is here to host the webinar. So thank you for joining us and enjoy the workshop. And before that, I'd like to tell you that actually the enrollment is now open to our English language cohort, which will start at the end of May, and feel free to apply on the CodeCool website. You can apply in 3 easy steps. So thanks for joining us, and now let's dive in. I really like the menu, however, because it follows the conventions. So there's a logo on the left, navigation items in the middle, and we have 2 call to actions on the right hand side. So this is a very conventional menu item. Also, I really like that the call to action, if you check, repeats themselves. I will try and highlight it a bit. So we have an order now here. And also there. It's also like a best practice to like have same call to actions.
Although they have different styling and have different coloring. So one works with a primary button as an accent color with the red, and the other one is secondary. So I think that's nice that you don't necessarily get the same duplication, but it's only in the messaging where you see sort of a redundancy.
Mm-hmm. But still in functionality, they are trying to duplicate the chance of clicking. And also, I agree with you, Ferry, that the menu is quite a classic thing and works well. But below that, I really feel that the cognitive load for the users is way too much. I mean, it depends on taste, of course, but for me, at the first time looking at this one, basically, my eyes were basically jumping around, and I don't know where to look because there's too much information. And also, the headline fonts are pretty heavy in all the 3 images we have there. So I think it creates some sort of distraction for the users.
Yeah, we really need to talk about the typography, I think, because there's so much going on. So to me, it looks like that this font maybe matches the one here, but the font weight and everything is just so different. Also, we have the burgers and fries headline, which is like totally different than this headline here, or this ad, because this ad tries to mimic the logo of Five Guys. And we also have some condensed stuff going on here.
Also, I don't think it was mentioned, but all the things that you're going to see currently are done in Figma. Even this analyzation or annotation part of looking at the site and dissecting it into different parts. And all of the design practices that we're going to show are happening in Figma, because Figma is basically the industry standard for everything that has to do with UX and UI design. There may be some apps that could be useful for other cases in terms of prototyping or in terms of wireframing. Maybe Axure is one that can be looked at, but overall Figma I think can do it all. So we use it very much. We basically live inside of Figma.
How about you guys in the chat? Please share your feelings about Figma, or if you know it. I don't know if you're already using it, or have you ever tried Figma. Please share all your comments with us. We would really like to read your experiences with Figma or even with Sketch. Have you guys ever used Sketch or used Sketch before, or Adobe XD before Figma? And you were transitioning?
We did. At least I can speak for myself. I started in Photoshop and then Illustrator, because we saw some improvements that you can do with vector stuff. And then Sketch came out, but Sketch was Mac exclusive.
Mm-hmm. It still is.
So it kind of strengthened the designer stereotype that all of the designers are
should
Mac
be
guys.
using Mac. Yeah,
Apple
right.
fanboys. So yeah, we were using Sketch. Sketch had a lot of limitations, and they introduced symbols or introduced components in their very first level versions. There were no nested components, and then Figma came in and generalized and made it more accessible, because it was a browser-based, cross-platform, multi-user, everything. So in terms of the barrier of entry, you didn't necessarily have to have a laptop. A MacBook. So you could have had a Windows PC, or even without downloading the application, you can do it within the browser. So, whoops, we're seeing some duplication there. Let me go back. We're seeing your screen.
I was just sending over the Figma file.
That's great. That's great.
Because we are gonna be working in here.
Also, we got a few comments.
Oh, that's nice.
Fluffy Robot 19 says, I'm using it, but I have no idea how I should be using it. Absolutely no worries. That's why we're here for, and that's what you can learn in the course as well.
Yeah, someone said that the dev mode is really useful. It's not very useful that they put in a behind the paywall.
Yeah.
But it's indeed a useful feature. Currently, hey guys, in the file. So we are gonna be working in this file. So feel free to
to join,
see the progress from behind. I think I'm gonna show where to hide the multiplayer cursors. Yeah, but currently there are 10 people in the file. I really like that Figma democratized the design tools a bit. So in the past, we were doing designs in dark rooms, in silos, in a Photoshop, and then we really hand it over to the dev guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was really fun times. But yeah, anyway, so back to our project. Do you have any instant idea how we should improve this Five Guys stuff? How might we improve the overall visual appeal of it?
Are you looking at me virtually?
Yeah,
for some reason my camera feed is dead, so I'm going to try to do something about it, but I'm happy to answer this question. So I would try to remove the ads, because you could be able to work out a system where you don't have to put ads in the hero. So having a clear value proposition that is either only about ordering burgers and fries or ordering food, or whether it's a clear message about joining the team within one of their joins.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe thinking of something that could live below the hero page, because this is basically a first fold hero and a footer, which is very unconventional in my opinion. And there could be a proper promotional landing page that takes care of the main things and the main offerings that Five Guys does, and explaining it to you, maybe in a more visual way. Maybe the types of products could be highlighted, and you could have different sections. So at this point, really, it's just a basic promotional landing page concept that works with multiple content blocks, but maybe focusing on singular stuff, like not trying to combine ads and other value propositions. Maybe having a more clear content structure could help. visually, there's a lot of nuances that I think we're going to talk about. It's usually not one big thing that happens and makes the design work. It's a number of things. It's like 50 plus things, 50 little nuggets, little items that really, when they come together, it's going to make the whole thing feel better. If
the look and feel is consistent.
Yeah. Also, we have some really nice comments on the chat.
Thank you guys for sharing all your thoughts with us. Basically, everyone is agreeing with Andris.
Yeah, and everyone says that maybe it should be like a one column layout. So as we can see the layout, I will add a new desktop page in here.
I also agree with lovely DKL, who says I would remove the add banners from the hero.
Yeah, so currently we have a layout like that. So we have boxes and boxes and boxes everywhere.
So guys, what you can see, Ferry is basically doing like a small UX kind of layout for the new hero section. Just drawing like boxes.
We usually call these skeletons because they're really low level, simplified abstractions of a layout, and it could even be only stacks. Ferry is currently playing around with different layout options, I think, which is a more advanced thing that you can do. But first, if you're only talking about messaging and only talking about different content blocks and how you want to order them, it's totally fine to think in slices and full width elements that you can use and kind of structure your message around that. I think story framing is a great exercise that you guys can look into. So if you search for story framing medium on Google, you're going to find a very nice and neat blog post from Dropbox on how they use story framing. It's usually good to start off with a core narrative and then build your visuals on top of that.
So if you start to design something or redesign something from the scratch, that's what would you basically suggest to everyone, to start up with like just drawing frames and boxes and trying out different layout types?
I would say this is a nice method. Usually I'm a more low fidelity guy, so I'm using my iPad to sketch ideas. But I really liked the book from Julie Zhao. She was the first design manager, a female, at Facebook. And she had a really nice blog post on design tactics, and she said that you really need to like fall in both directions from the bicycle. So you need to like experiment with the heroes a little bit,
right?
Then you need to experiment with the content blocks a bit, and then decide on the final outcome. And as you progress and you become more senior designer, then it's usually 3 or 4 direction you have, sometimes only in your mind, and sometimes you jump into you jump into high fidelity too soon. But that's really a senior thing and the progression.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common thing for designers, and also and always. If we start something from scratch, we are really tempted to do the fancy stuff right away with all the colors and images and trying out the cool stuff, which is sometimes a bit misleading because it goes around the purpose. So sometimes it's not so straightforward in terms of your UX decisions or UI decisions. So it's like an off-rail at the beginning. So what we suggest is what Ferry just mentioned, that if you starting to do the designs, then try out some pretty simple ways of putting on layouts or different kinds of layouts with just simple gray low fidelity boxes.
Yeah.
And if that works, then the colorful way will also work.
Yeah, I also think that. just a little bit about the art direction. So I always try to come up with ideas from the real world, so some nice visual metaphor, and that is a nice method, I think, here as well.
And sorry, I started reading comments, and there are a few good ones, and I just want to read them out loud. So Altom says that the idea of the hero section should be to make me hungry. Right now, the photo looks as if someone left a burger on the table for a few days. So yeah, the original concept here is to make it look appetizing, to make it look like it's something that you could eat off the screen. Obviously, that's one of the goals, and in many cases, with most products or with most stuff, it's supposed to intrigue you or make you excited for it. So we're going to try out this approach, but still trying to keep the original sloppy style of Five Guys to make sure that we're authentic and on brand.
My visual metaphor would be here that I really love the duotone colorography here, that we have a nice red and a striking white in the background, and that's what I'm using as a visual metaphor. I really like the vibe of the retro diners.
Before you jump into that, I think it's very important that beside drawing skeletons, drawing different site versions and exploring different layout options, it's crucial for everyone to look for inspiration and creating a mood board, I think, is essential. Creating a place where you store the types of references that you think are relevant and applicable for the thing that you're working on is crucial, because especially if you're starting out, you don't really have anything that you can grab onto. And it's really hard for you to imagine something that is in your mind. If you're making things up, usually you're making things up from a known or imagined references. But if you don't have known references, there's a lot of places to look for them. And I think it's a part where you could also show the way you get inspired or the way you collect references.
I have a taste library on Figma. And I'm also using an app called My Mind. It's a new application from Van Schneider. He's a nice designer from New York City, but originally from Vienna. Basically, it's an ad-free Pinterest where I'm putting all my design stuff for checking out later. So you might wanna check it out.
We've heard two names. Can you put these later on in the chat? So we've heard a name of a book. Which one was it? Or a designer that was not Van Schneider, but Julie Zhao maybe. So that's one of the names, and the other one is My Mind, which is a product of Van Schneider's team, and My Mind is a good collection storage. Yeah,
I just checked this site today. This was runner-up in the Framer Awards. I really like the contrast here, so that's why I put it there. But anyway, so back to the how we tackle this Five Guy stuff, and back to retro diners. So I think Five Guys was inspired by this kind of experience. They modernized it, but still you have a same vibe in the logo and also in the menu item, that you have this duotone checkboard style, and that's, I think, a nice reference and could be implemented in the design. So definitely I will need this as a pattern to make the hero section more exciting, because the hero should excite me somehow. And also in the chat, someone said that the images should feel real and more tasty, I would say. We had a discussion about this, I think yesterday, that you said that the burger should be sloppy and honest in the hero. But in the end, we find a nice way to represent the snoopiness.
Yeah, currently I think it's better for us to make something more like eye candy and make it sexy, make it look nice, and then we can talk about the rest of the elements to be on brand and authentic to Five Guys.
That's true, and also lovely DKL in the chat says we should keep the sloppiness, but with a more quality image. So I guess that's the truth.
That's a good approach.
Yeah,
that's a really good approach.
Yeah, and it's not really an AI presentation, but I ended up using Midjourney for the stock images. Mm-hmm. I really canceled my Shutterstock subscription long ago because you can really prompt nice images here. Right now we have Andris as a burger guy. So you can even swap faces as I did here. It's a really nice touch. But anyway, I tried to come up with some visuals on the burger itself. So that's why I started prompting the AI a little bit. And they ended up with this handcrafted juicy hamburger with white background, hyper realistic. You can see that it's not a very advanced prompt, but the outcome is pretty neat. This tool is called Midjourney. Basically, it's an image creator tool. And
I didn't see their new promo for the above the fold sections. That's very nice with the ASCII artwork.
And also they have this showcase feature where you can check out some examples. And also we'll send some nice assets later through Eventbrite or in the chat because I have a nice cheat sheet which I'm using for referencing some image ideas. So as you could see, I added a prompt and I added this 4x5 resolution in here, but nothing fancy creation with the prompt. And you can create really anything with this /imagine action and then create your prompt.
So you're currently focusing on the different visual assets that you want to use throughout your promotional landing page, and one of them being the main item, which is the hero burger. So that's going to be it, right?
Yes, indeed. Because obviously we need like high quality images for the website. What about some fries?
Let's do some fries.
I created the most intense experience here, as you could see. Burger and fries mixture. But this one is looking alright. It's handcrafted fries in Five Guys branded box, white background, hyper realistic. It looks okay to me.
It looks very okay. Even the burnt endings or the brownish unpeeled potato style that you can see. I don't know how you do your fries, but I like it relatively not thin. So the way they have it here is a bit more dirty, a bit more honest.
We can add some mud later.
Okay.
Also, I usually check the current website if there's any images or assets I could rely on. And I really love these ones. It looks like a professional illustrator did that.
These are great.
There's a really handy plugin for Figma called HTML to design. You can pull every website from the web and have your assets there.
Oh, really?
And I tried to use that one, but I realized that those are sloppy images.
You mean JPEGs and bitmaps?
Those are PNGs, I think.
But not transparent PNGs? The best one?
Let's find out.
Yeah. So the PNGs are supposed to be transparent. That's why. That's one of the reasons that they're PNGs. JPEGs are usually something that would have a background. PNGs are the type of image assets that can have an alpha or a transparent background in them. And in this case, the reason that we would be using transparent PNGs instead of these, Ferry is going to show you some nice plugins or a nice way to remove these backgrounds is so that we can have a free decision on what the background of a certain section will be, and not necessarily being tied to the color white in this case. And we definitely don't want to make them look boxy. We don't want to make them look as if they were clipped out of a web page. So that's why you're going to do some plugin magic there.
Yeah, we have this plugin called Icons 8 Background Remover. Usually we spend times in Photoshop with the pen tool, penning the silhouette of certain stuff. But with these tools, it's very advanced and fast.
Yeah, so just so that no one gets the wrong concept or the wrong idea here, being a designer is not necessarily a combination of good plugins and good software. Being a designer is being able to communicate visually throughout different mediums and different platforms. All these tools are just more efficient ways to make something, and currently we're all about speed because we want to show you the most stuff that we can show within an hour and a half. So being a good designer doesn't mean that if you have the right combination of plugins that will do all the work for you. These are really just substitutes for very tedious work. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully AI will help us along the way, and we don't really need to do the boring stuff here.
But until then, these come really handy.
Yeah, indeed. Also, what about some colors here? Because I realized that we didn't really have a palette yet. If you check the red, I think it's pretty okay. Usually I'm referring to an HSB scale. It's the hue, saturation, and the brightness. And to me, it looks pretty fine. It's bright and saturated. Mm-hmm. But I need more colors. I can see that the cookie banner is with this dark green.
It's a nice green.
It's a nice one.
I use HSL, and HSL is kind of the same as HSB. It's just that brightness is for B and L is for lightness, right?
Yeah, usually, so HSB is pretty similar to HSL, but to me, with the HSB, there's more saturation with the colors and more blackness. So this B is not just the brightness, it's also the blackness. So as you can see that if I'm using an HSL scale, then the white ones are looking like this, but I'm using an HSB.
Okay, so you get more saturation.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I also played around with the blackness a bit, as maybe a more mintish green color would be better to me, or at least to my eyes. So here you can really have some unique ideas on how you will tackle the design. Also, what I'm currently need obviously is the white, also the black. It's a full black.
It's full black. Okay.
Sorry, Ferry, sir. Just for the guys in the chat, what you are doing actually is like putting together a mini color palette, basically collecting your colors that you're going to work with in your redesign.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I'm doing currently, because I will need much more colors that we currently have.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't really like working with this full black color. My greatest example is everyone knows the settings screen on an iPhone. Can I have an iPhone? Can I show it?
Sure, you can.
Just the settings.
Yeah, sure thing. Hopefully the music won't turn down. That's the one.
Yeah, so I try to put it in a dark mode. And as you can see in the camera, those are perfect black. Those are perfect black background, but it's because the pixels were turned off here. So
okay.
So it's a trick by the iPhone guys that the pixels were turned off, and then the black is blends into the hardware. So
they're not showing real colors actually.
They are not. So
Okay.
that's why I like to have a black from the main color, simply just dragging the wheel here.
While I'm going to read out chat questions, guys. Fluffy Robot 19 asks how many colors should be in a color palette. I guess it depends. There's no strict rule for that. Ferry is basically collecting like primary, secondary colors, and now a kind of overall color palette, what he's going to work with.
Oh, let me add to that answer a bit. So in terms of how many colors should there be in a color palette, if you start off with 4 or 5, that's usually good, but it's not necessarily about the colors themselves, but the ratio in which you use them. So in this case, if you have a very saturated, very dominant red color, maybe using red is a good and okay idea for the background, but usually you would want to have your primary color used as an accent in certain cases. So in terms of overall visual interest, the way you would be using red is like 10 to 20% of that color. So that way you kind of keep its strength, and you're not necessarily dulling it down by overusing it or using it too much. So in terms of all these different color palettes, I know Fede is going to go crazy with this one. So all of these things that I'm saying are usually applied to SaaS products or best practices. With a brand like this one, I think you can be a bit more extreme, but usually you would have 3 to 5 colors. Obviously, one primary color and one secondary color that is most connected to the brand. So that's the key visual cue with which you remember the brand. For McDonald's, it would be red and yellow, or the combination of these. For this one, obviously red, white, and black is something that is very relevant or dominant.
There's also some advanced tactics about colors, such as using a lot of grays, and also these semantic colors for errors, and like user-generated warnings. But right now, let's use these 4 as our main palette. And I'm considering adding a nice complementary color in here, because using the true white would be too strong to my eyes. So that's why I like to have some very nice off-brand color here. So I try to use the lightness for this, and maybe it can be a little bit yellowish. So I'm using this color as a complementary.
So toned down mustard.
Toned down mustard, that's nice. I'm trying to answer the questions meanwhile in the chat. Shaiva Sabel, if I'm pronouncing your name right. If no, then sorry. So there's a question: do you collect colors from the images? Yes, Ferry is collecting color from the images.
And also I downloaded the website itself, DB exact, with the brand red.
That's nice. And he's using the eyedropper tool to get the images and the color codes, actually. And Fluffy Robot 19 says, okay, thanks. And would one of these colors be then the color of the logo too? Sorry for the too many questions. Absolutely no worries about the questions. That's why we're here for, and that's why this whole session is live. So absolutely no worries. Feel free to ask questions, guys. We're trying to answer them. So sorry, just one of the colors can be the logo in this case, as Five Guys is using that exact red as their logo at the moment?
Yeah, sure. I usually like to match the some colors with the branding. I try to make this nice little hamburger transparent as well, and also it's time to find some nice fonts. So I think it's important to mimic the current branding, but if I would use some inter here, that would be a little bit like boring. So I try to come up with some nice typography. And I really love the Wise branding, how they nailed this rebranding. Maybe it's too modern for Five Guys, but I think I find the Reddit thread. Yeah, the alternative to Wise font, and someone referred to I think Futura Compressed as the font, but I tried to find some more condensed font. Usually it means that the font is somehow compressed a little bit, and it's like a hamburger was squished a bit. Right. So that's also a nice visual metaphor. And I ended up finding this VVDS 50s font, which I really like because it mimics the 50s film festival posters, but also the 50s diner vibe a little bit.
Nice. That's nice.
So this is gonna be my headline. VVDS 50s.
Already this started to feel like something, and the dryness disappeared, and especially using it with all caps makes the difference, I think.
And using it with this nice off-white would really look good in the red.
That's the designer nuance that you add to it.
Yes. For the paragraph text, I think Five Guys does a nice job here using a much simpler font. I'm using, I think, Sophia Sans because it gives a little bit of a character, but not too much, but not too boring.
So you're going to use this one for the body copies?
Yeah, paragraph body copies and basically everywhere. And I've seen some nice ornament in here. The font is not displaying here, but we need some font for the ornaments, like the scenes. Let's say. I do like the slab fonts for such occasions. We have this Roboto slab as well, not too characteristic, but I will use Port Liglat slab as the ornament.
Can I add a few comments here?
Yeah, indeed.
I think we're going to get, or maybe we're going to get a lot of typography related questions, and I think 90% of the web is or should be typography focused, because most of the messaging and most of the content is written and not necessarily images or image based. And the only way, or the main way in which you can add a visual kind of feeling or a vibe to it is by using fonts that have some character. And I think differentiating the different headlines from the body copy and using a nice font pairing is usually the way to do it, or one of the ways to do it. But it's important that there are main families of main type families, and one is serif fonts, and serifs are these little things that are sitting on the edges of different letters. Slab serif is a serif that has little or thinner or smaller edges, and sans serifs are ones which don't have these things. And you have some more exotic cases. You have monospace fonts. You have script fonts, but mainly these two main families are sans serif and serif fonts, with which you can differentiate these. And then what we usually say is that some fonts can only be used as display fonts, and a display font is something that you would put up as a title, but not necessarily use it for the body copy or the paragraph, because it's legible if it's only like one line or it goes to like 8+ words, but it becomes unreadable in long form. So there are limitations to using fonts, and usually people go crazy with fonts, and our take on it is that it's okay to use a nice pairing, but when you have 3, you should have a very well protected case for you to be using 3, because it's usually too much.
Yeah, those are really nice points, and we could talk about typography for hours, maybe just answering a few questions. Shouldn't you use Google Fonts for the web? You can use Google Fonts. Usually they load a bit faster. It's a few milliseconds if you are using a custom font, because the browser should load those custom fonts as well. So maybe that's why you wanna reconsider using custom fonts everywhere. Our approach in our agency website is having one brand font as a custom font. It's a Gilroy, and we have a Google font combination. So that's why the page speed is okay. And how do you know if a font would work together well with the other font?
You never know.
You never know. You need to try out. Yeah, that's you're totally right. Right now, I will start by the headline.
But sorry, to give a different type of answer there as well. Usually, if you're looking for different references, you're not only looking for layout-based references or how you structure a page. You're also looking for color palettes. You're also looking for typography. And your job is to steal from enough places and steal in a smart way. So you already know that something's going to work because you have fairly similar reference to it. But maybe you're applying a twist to it, which is something that will make it your own. So knowing whether a font pairing works could also come from different references, or it could be a case of your trial and error. You can just try it out.
I will try out creating the the diner pattern. In the meantime, I realized that a simple checkboard wouldn't be so exciting, so I will try to add some flair with rotating those stuff. It's just simple rectangles and rotation. So I will save a little pattern in here. As you can see, I'm using frames for content, which I like to clip. So this is gonna be the background pattern. And I could maybe play around a bit with the size, but I will need some text to it. So usually in the diners, there's some signs, some nice pictures in frames. So this is what really struck me and was a nice inspiration to me. So I will come up with some interesting visual decisions. I'm adding the primary red here. And to make it...
I told you, he's gonna go crazy. Using the primary color in its most dominant way possible, using it as a background, could be nice.
Yeah, we need to find a way to make it less crazy, you would say.
No, it's completely fine to go bonkers sometimes.
Maybe add some stroke to it.
Maybe.
You know, I'm in love with my design decision with the off-white. So this is gonna be nice. Here I realized that if I switch off the grid, this is gonna be too dark. So maybe try and light it up a little bit.
Oh, and you've already defined it as a variable, which is nice. Variables are applied sometimes numeric values that can live within a file, so you can reference them always, and changing it in one place will then affect all the other places where it's referred to. So Figma is really handy in that sense.
Variants are basically components combined together, and they are
variants are different things. Currently, I wanted to refer to variables, which are numeric values that you can store as styles.
Okay. Sorry.
Basically, they now Figma switched from storing color styles to variables.
Variables, yes.
Yes, they are numbers that change.
Right.
Okay. Red, white, bold typography, thick fonts, very
super condensed,
neatly condensed, very close together.
And the white.
Okay.
Maybe let's use the white to really echo the branding and have the off-white as a
secondary
stuff. We had the...
And your
yeah.
camera view is off again.
Yeah, you're going to see me in the background strolling around because for some reason the cables are not always working. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm going to try to turn it on again.
Yeah, so with all due respect, it's starting to look like a hero section to me.
It does. It certainly does.
Someone said that it's a little bit too yellowish. That was my goal with the off-white. It's a subjective idea, but I love that it's a little bit yellowish. Maybe as the fries. So the next step would be to add some nice product placements in here. So I'm adding the burger. As you can see, I already made the background transparent.
With the remove background tool.
And I'm gonna add the not so sloppy hamburger right in the middle.
Much better.
I can still play around with the font. You can see that it's been a bit bigger now.
Just sliding it a bit above the
I'm getting
red
very
box.
peckish. I'm getting very what's the other word that the Brits use? Famished. I'm famished. I'm hungry. I'm peckish.
I'm hangry usually.
Lovely DKL says, can someone share the Figma link again? It was previously shared in the chat.
Yeah, you can scroll back in the chat, but I'm happy to drop it for you again. Yep.
Andrish is going to help you out. And guys, feel free to join us in the Figma file.
I have an idea here.
You switch devices, no worries.
I have an idea here that maybe this stuff without curves is a bit too boring. So let's play around with some section backgrounds in here. So I will add fifth ticks in here. And one thing the website is currently lacks is some information architecture on the landing. So I really dislike that it's an ad placement and the menu is over there. So in case you have so nice visuals in your brand book, you need to use it for reference. So I will add a menu instantly here. That would be, I think, a very nice touch. And I'm using this component further. It's also a nice way of making your design a bit more developer friendly, is to reuse stuff all the time. But here I'm gonna make it of white. I'm gonna use some.
You're not working with auto layouts currently, right?
Usually, when I'm teaching and I'm showing my design process, I don't really like to click all the time.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
why I sometimes skip using auto layout. But right now, let's say that we have more advanced guys here, so let's try it out. Here I added a padding of 24 everywhere. And that's what I will be using here. I will add the huge menu sign in here. Like, not like that, but even bigger.
Oh, so you already see the color combination working in two different ways. So it works as a dark mode or a dark background where you have the light type on it. And then you have the inverse of that, which is the off-white paper-like thing with a big, bold red thing printed on it. So it really brings in this retro feel, which I think is nice.
How do you like this menu?
Just show me what I can buy, and I'll buy it right away.
That's what I really like. All right, so this is gonna be the menu sign, and I will slightly change the current layout. So I will add a main category and maybe another category as others for the drinks, milkshakes, and so on. So first, let's create a subtitle.
I think the basically the way that you're designing at the moment is going to be somewhere between the brutalist and the retro line. It's like a cool combination of these two styles. Shaiva Sabel says in the chat that I feel like the diagonal checker pattern should be symmetric. It's like nudged to the left a bit.
I'll take care of that.
Andrish is going to check it out.
Go over to my screen so that Fetty can work in peace. But then we'll get back over to him. It's also very American and in your face, so very on brand.
True story.
Yeah. So let's see. The thing that we wanted to have here. Oh, I'm only a viewer, so I actually cannot. Can you add me as an editor, please?
Yeah, I take care of that.
Thank you. So now Figma is going to reload the file for me. This is usually the case where I'm assigned a new role for this file. So now I have full design or edit access and full capability. And the thing that we wanted to address here is that it's not necessarily centered. So if I press on Shift actually helps me to place things. Command Z. Always use Command Z if you want to remove your mistakes. So the thing that I want to do now is to see where these patterns are nested, because this is the background pattern, but now within the background pattern there's a lot of different stuff, and maybe I'm just going to try to restructure part of this and put the hero visual above, and now I have the background pattern separated, so I can take this and move it around and make sure that it's centered. So if I press on Shift, it will actually show me where the horizontal center is. So if I move it horizontally and press Shift, you're going to see a red line on top of the red background, but maybe it's still visible on there. But for some reason, I think there are also different lines to which it snaps. So it could also snap to a grid line or grid column. So if you press on this one, it's going to vertically center it, but I think that's already offset. So we want something like this. We want to make sure that this is seen. And as you can see, we can play around with the positioning of it. and since this is not done in a very, how should I say, engineering type of way, but we could do it. I could say that I will make everything an auto layout and delete all this. Okay, so first off, let's duplicate this, because if I mess it up, Fetty is going to be mad at me because I messed up his hero work. And now we're after this, we're going to go over to his side as well. So I made it into an auto layout thing. I'm going to delete these ones, make this into an auto layout thing, but make it vertical and make these horizontal. So if I add this, I will have the ability to control how close or how tied together these patterns are. And I also have control over where they connect. So this way I can really play around with how this looks. And I think what we wanted to have is some clipping on top and some clipping on the bottom. So we're going to have these here. And also the other thing that we could do is to make these as atoms, which means that if I take away one item and define this as a checkerboard atom, we can duplicate this as a child and put inside every part here, which I'm going to try to do. I don't know how many we had of these. So now, I did it in the wrong place. So let me get back here, frame. So we have 1, 2, 3, 5. Sorry, 4, 5, 6, 8. 8. Okay, so we have 8. And now I'm going to duplicate frame 5 a number of times. So now we have the ability to fully have control over how this feels, how close they are, how neatly they are packed together, and stuff like these. So background pattern. Okay. Let me try to align these. So what we wanted to have is zero padding, so they connect. So they are big like this. And I'm just going to eyeball it over here. And hopefully Fetty's going to be happy with this. But yeah, this way I'm happy and I can play around with the exact sizing and positioning and make this into a tile pattern. Yeah, maybe bringing them more up. Yeah, like this. Okay, over to Fetty.
Cool. So what I did in the meantime, so we have all these nice images from here. So I copied in those lines, and since Andris was mentioning it, I used auto layout for the menu, as you can see, that I can play around with the proportions easily. And I created lines where I'm using the bold headline and some nice dotted line here.
Very print-like.
Yeah, that's what so that was my initial idea to make it a real life printed menu, which they hand over on a really sloppy paper usually. So that's what I did. I added this second font here, and I also added the sandwiches, drinks, fries, milkshakes, and toppings. Added some nice paddings and margins, and now it started to look like a website. What we didn't do so far is to design from the shell. The refactoring UI book refers to it that don't design from the shell. For me, it looks the shell is usually the menu of each website. So I think it's not a nice design tactic to start designing from the menu. You need to design the overall look and feel, the hero, and then the other stuff as well.
I didn't know this one. So designing from the shell means that you're starting from the outer edges of the of the layout?
Yeah, indeed. So designing the footer, designing the header, just navigation. It's like when you have a house to renovate, but you start from, I don't know, from the windows. Doesn't make much sense. So again, just
so you start from the meat of it.
Yeah, that's a nice reference. But here, to make it more like a website, we can design a nice menu item. So here, I'm gonna use auto layout, and since I applied a nice grid here, which is centered and have this margin of 80 pixels, I'm using the same in my components as well.
Okay, sorry. One thing that I wanted to address, and they're right. Lovely DKL is saying that the gaps are different within the list, and the reason for that is because this is set to be a hug parameter auto layout thing, and the thing that it actually hugs is the image asset, and the image asset is, once we did the background auto removal thing, the sizes came out in a very weird way. So it has different sizing for every image type. And what we could do is basically to put them in an auto layout and make sure that they're okay. So let me try to do that and make sure that they're fixed. So they're 135 all around, or maybe less. Sorry, let's go to 92.
Sorry, Andris, can you share your screen?
Oh,
please?
yeah. Thank you. So what I can do here is to make sure that we have these. I'm just going to play with this number, 128. Maybe that makes sense, and make sure that it is applied throughout the asset ranges. And here you can do positioning, and we're going to try to copy this and make sure that everything is 128, and then you have consistent sizing, and you have consistent spacing as well. So it is a best practice to have icon and image containers, and image containers make sure that everything that you have is going to be the same size, regardless of the thing inside of it. So now we have this manual element, which I'm going to just drag here. What we're doing here is a bit draft-like and sloppy, like the burgers. But all of this is for the sake of time. We want to make sure that we show you enough stuff, and I could also take this and make sure that we have some negative offset to make sure that they're nicely tied and closer together. And voila, that's it. Obviously, this is not dev handoff level work, but now I think this is more of a look and feel experimentation project rather than creating something that is really pixel perfect. So we're now experimenting with different assets, different color schemes, different typography, and want to get a vibe that is consistent and could be defined in a very short visual guideline or brand guideline. And I think Fedi is currently looking into the menu and how we could handle links, and he's already using components inside of that. So I'm going to hand it over again.
Yeah, basically what I did is I just created a frame and a button out of it, and a nice visual touch which combines the brutalism to this retro style, is to have this nice drop shadows with like 100% of the color.
It's a thick drop shadow.
Yeah, it's really thick, like the burger. Maybe this offset of 8 pixel will be crazy, so I will change it to 4.
You could also use it for a hover effect to make it feel more elevated. So when you hover over the button, it will feel like it's been drawn to you. So 4 for the default state and maybe 8 for the hover state.
Yeah, maybe we can have a nice like property control to make like another variant, which will be the state. So this will be the hover state, let's say, and this is going to be the default.
It's also very smart that you're starting off from the endpoint and not from the beginning. Usually with smart animations or smart animate transitions in Figma, this is the best way in which you can go along, is that you plan what the effect will be, you create the endpoint, and from that you create a duplication, which will be state A, and then you get a transition from state A to state B, and it's going to work very nicely because it has the same naming, it has the same layer structure, and the only thing that is different is some effects and some styling within the parameter pane. But everything that is related to the structure of the object itself, in this case being an auto layout button with a few parameters, in terms of hierarchy, it's really the same.
Yeah, so let's finish up the menu, shall we?
And I think we should tell guys that this whole thing that Ferry is doing at the moment, I mean in terms of prototyping and connecting all the things and buttons together, is the reason that, I don't know if you know it guys, but Figma is capable of doing a pretty advanced kind of prototyping at the moment, which means that if you not only design in UI and UX terms your website or design, but if you connect it in prototype mode, it means that the whole website or design or mobile view comes alive, basically. So you can try out and show, for example, to the client how it's going to look and feel, actually. And that's why the reason. So that's the reason why Ferry was connecting these buttons, and he was creating basically variants, which means that those two types of buttons are showing separate states of that same button. And I think we're going to take a look in the presentation mode as well once Ferry is done with the menu, I guess.
Yeah, I think first we can try out if the buttons are working.
So now you're loading up the presentation preview, which is the prototype format of Figma. It usually works with 100% scaling, and you also can switch between different frames. So maybe if you add a flow starting point, that is something that Figma usually likes because it's a shortcut to that type of frame which you're trying to do. And you have some nice buttons there. Are they instant? Shouldn't they be smart animate?
Yeah, let's check it out.
So
Ferry was creating like hover states, which means if you pull the mouse above the CTA means call to action, which is a button actually, then it's going to change the animation.
woohoo!
It's really nice.
Yeah.
What about I'm taking care of the menu,
Okay.
and maybe you guys can continue with the image grid.
Okay.
They're collecting some visuals from the social channels of FIVEGUYS.
Okay. So with the image grid, you're thinking of a horizontal image layout, which could be a gallery. So this is kind of a social proof section, or a look into how the joints are. So maybe photos of the interior, photos of staff, stuff like those.
Yeah, some vibe of the whole unique sloppiness of what FIVEGUYS is doing.
Okay. Okay, I don't know what the best source for that is, but
maybe the Facebook channel, or maybe just type in Five Guys social.
Okay, Five Guys social, Five Guys Instagram. Let's see.
It's also a really important question from Shaiva Zabel here in the chat. I think it goes to you, Ferry. How strict do you follow material design guides?
Usually, when I'm creating landing page, I'm following the 8-point grid for the spacings, and for the conventional elements such as drop downs, hover states, I'm referring to the material design guidelines. But for product design, I'm relying on it more. For the landing, I like to come up with first just an art direction and the visual outcome, and then I try to apply the methods of material design. For my liking, the visual style of material is a bit boring. I think that's why the other framework, such as Tailwind from the front-end frameworks, are like making like a comeback among designers, because those are really like material design but good looking.
Right.
So material design to me, it's a bit rectangular to my liking.
Right.
But it's also just my taste.
So in the meantime, I'm on Five Guys' Instagram, and since it's very hard for you to copy segments from the divs, I just take screenshots and put it inside here. Here's a baby drinking Five Guys milkshake, which I don't necessarily know if it's healthy or not, but the image is cute. So yeah. I don't know if this is the thing that you were looking for, but now we have some social proof that there are actual people eating and drinking at Five Guys. And if we had the time, I think the way in which we envision or imagine this is that it goes in a loop, so it takes in a number of assets from different sources, or maybe a dedicated source, and it's kind of an infinite loop that goes around like Netflix does, or the Netflix carousel. So currently, I think we're just going to have this as horizontal overflow in which you can scroll around. So I'm going to try to restrict how this behaves. So I'm going to place these in the center. So if I put more of these, the way in which this is going to work. So let me try to show it in a prototype mode. It's going to be more understandable that way, but we need 2 more images. So let me just quickly do that. Okay, there are a number of different photography styles going on here. They're not really consistent, but sloppiness is their motto. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll this as if this was a website. And now what I can do is horizontal, not drag, but horizontal pan on this section. And the reason I can do that is because the auto layout frame is set to the page wrapper. So it means that I have at least 60 pixels of padding on the left and on the right. And within the prototype behavior, the overflow is set to horizontal. So I can go to both ends of this and scroll it. So yeah, back to you.
All right, I fixed the menu, and the nice trick I did is to have the primary typography, and it's really condensed. So if I'm not playing around with the letter spacing, it will look like this. So the readability is not the best. So that's why I'm using like 4% of the letter spacing to make it more readable. And if I see it as a website, then to me it looks really cool.
It sure does.
It really starts to get in shape. I really like that we start the website with a really nicely photographed hyper-realistic hamburger, and then we end up with this.
This is reality. It's you'd still eat it if it was well made and delicious, which I guess it is. So
another step I did is to come up with the two column layout stuff here. I think I will add some nice images in here.
Please. I already know what's it gonna be, but please add me there.
Yeah, we joked around today because we realized that on a Midjourney you can obviously generate some nice images, but there's an app called Inside Face Web, and as you could see, I added myself as an ID, and then I made face swaps, and I would say that the face swap of Andris went wrong a bit. Like that.
Actually, no, this is good because I could look like this if I ate burgers all day, every day, and maybe worked at a burger joint. So in that sense, it could be realistic, and it's very funny. It's very, how can I say, lazy?
Real.
Real, very real.
It feels so real.
Maybe the eyes are a bit off because I'm very...
Yeah, I try to play around with it a bit. Maybe the burger could be more visible.
That's
but anyway,
fine. That's fine.
I realized that I want to use... that's another font. I will use the Sophia Pro here. Sophia Sans, sorry. So this red won't be so nice with the background. Usually I check the contrast, and it will hardly fail. So yeah, the text fails the contrast check. So what I will do here is to have my HSB set up and try to make it lighter and desaturated so it will match the contrast, but it's still the same the same hue as the primary color. So this is what I'm going to be using here.
And the main idea here is to have some visual difference between, or to have some hierarchy and have that hierarchy displayed in a visual manner as well. So the thicker and the more visual weight something has, usually the more important it is. And then if you have something as a lighter color, in this case, the brighter it is, the more contrast it has, the higher on the ranking it is. So the bigger the hierarchy attached to it, and the lighter the color, the less important it is. So maybe adding another photo would make this card work. I'm looking at a very distorted and twisted view of myself, and it's making me uncomfortable a bit. And you can see that Midjourney messes up fingers really badly. It can't really generate hands for some reason. And I guess that's going to be happening with Sora as well. Weird hands everywhere in the world, in different ads. Thank you. So yeah, having clear hierarchy within your texts is something that you should do. You should have differentiating, or you should differentiate between something that is important or less important. And it's a good best practice to think of these as gradients.
I'm checking some nice visuals on the app itself, but those are blurred out a bit. Maybe I will add this from the App Store.
Okay. How do you think we are with time?
Should we add some animations right now, or should we wrap up?
Well, let's ask. Do you guys want to spend a few more minutes with animations, or not really?
Will you animate a burger, or what's the deal?
Well, hopefully we have it prepared already. If that is so, I think we can.
In the meantime, I will add this section in the design here.
It seems like we should go on.
Let's animate. Okay, well, let's.
Sure. Thank you guys for the comments.
I'm gonna try to do this in an isolated view. So I'm just gonna delete everything that you have in the frame, steal the color, and try to work that way using the primary red as the background. And I'm gonna steal some assets that you prepared for me. I'll switch over to my view, and then you can finish up on the thing. So the idea is that this is a website. We should do something that you can't do in print. In print, you can't scroll, and in print, you can't have interactions. But on a website, you can. So let's look at something. What if this was an exploding burger? I'm just gonna steal some of these elements here. If you have a lock, you need to unlock, and then you're gonna be able to have this. What are you using for a secondary font? Sorry.
The Sophia Sans.
How the burger is created. I'm just gonna come up with something very vague and random. Sophia Sans, you said. So this is so we want to take care of the different layers and different parts of the burger itself, and I'm just going to create a draft animation, and then afterwards we can play around with some tweaks. Sophia Sans. So I guess we have the bun. I'm just going to add a bit of negative spacing to the letter itself. I'm just going to put it on auto, and in any case, we want the, okay, so let's try this. This is going to be a vertical auto layout centered, and there's going to be a bit of negative offset, but we have the stacking in a very weird way. So it should be first on top. So let's see if we can, okay. What if we rotate this one? And the thing that we have with this, if it's an auto layout, I'm just going to remove the auto layout, is that these are going to look funky. So these need proper placement, and I'm just going to try to create this placement manually. Okay, so how the burger is created, we have it in the center. Let's put it here. I'm just going to create this as kind of a one-page thing. Actually, less than that. Sorry, one additional 0. And Fetty's going to tell me a better tagline for this. But so far, this is going to be good. So we have the bun. We have the patty, right? We have the salad or lettuce, and we have what is the end bun? Whatever, sauce. Let's have sauce as well. These look too big. Let's move into different sizing there. I'm just going to randomly place these and steal one of Fetty's ideas here, working with these green separator lines. Maybe we're going to turn them off white. Let me try to add it here so they have the sort of annotation on the graphic. So this will work as an infographic, and everything will be off-white. So not brand white, but off-white. And lettuce, the patty, that's the beef patty, and then sauce, I guess, is wherever you put it. It's everywhere. It's on your hands. It's in your face. Okay, burger animation. This is, so I'm doing this in a fairly fast-paced way, but what we want to do is create some type of interactivity. So I'm just going to select these, and I'm going to try to move them and move this stuff along with them. What I didn't do is change anything on the left-hand side in terms of the layer structure. So it doesn't really matter how sloppy or how fast I am, because I'm only changing things that will matter within the smart animation. So I guess we would do this on scroll, but I think in this case we would do it. Okay, let's maybe group these, and this will be called burger, and I'm just going to group them here as well because they need to be called burger. They need to need to follow the same structure. So if we hover over on this one, it's going to explode. So it's going to navigate to burger animation. B, this is state A, and this is state B. So on click, instead of on click, I want it to be while hovering. It's going to be smart animate, and instead of ease out, I want it to be bouncy. So let's have this exploding burger as the name for our animation. I'm just going to press on my little shortcut here. So if I move over to this one, okay, we have some weird things. I'm going to fill the screen. If I hover over, it bounces. If I move my cursor, then it goes back. So yeah, this is something that later on could be done with a scroll trigger, although Figma is not really supporting scroll triggers for now. But this could be a way in which we play with interactivity, and there's really a number of things that you can do. So here you have on click, on drag while pressing. We could do this on drag as well, but then you'd have to set the drag direction, I guess. So yeah, this way it's a bit weird. So I'm just going to reset it to while hovering. And you can play around with how it actually moves. So if I press on R, it resets. This could be gentle as well. Gentle is a bit more gentle and nuanced. We're good with bouncy. Okay. Is this something that we wanted to look at, or you wanted to add some different flair?
I think it looks really cool. Should we add this to the final version?
Feel free. Drag it in. How can we make sure that it's gonna... I think we have to set it up as a variant so that it can be nested. No? Let me just do that very quickly.
All right.
Okay, so in this case...
In the meantime, I quickly tweaked this two-column layout. Also added a create your burger now with the secondary call to action. It's in a wrong state, so let me quickly change that.
Is 44 is the spacing that you're using. I'm just going to mimic your thing. Obviously, we could be cropping this down so it kind of has the same thing.
It's 40.
It's 40. Oh, also the rounding. So let's look at what is you don't have. This is. Let's call this landing page. No, landing page. Okay, so now we have this, and it should show as the actual size or fit with I'm scrolling. Wonderful. I can scroll here as well. I'm seeing myself as a staff member. And here we have the exploding burger. Woohoo! Okay, so the scaling kind of messed it up a bit, but you get the idea. Yeah.
I think that's a really nice outcome.
Super nice.
Also, just to wrap it up, this session, what we did is we created some referencing on the website. Secondly, we added some UX analysis, some lightweight UX audit for the whole thing, and some layout sketches. Thirdly, we prepared assets. We used some existing materials from the website, such as the logo and the nice iconography. We used Midjourney here for the visuals, added some brutalist buttons, color changes, and also visual references with the checkboard and a nice animation. So here we have like a blink of a time. What was that, like 1.5 hour? We executed a really nice website redesign. It looks more clean, and it's better to my liking.
Yeah, hopefully we added some flair to the, although it's Five Guys, but to the overall dull and uninteresting looking thing. Boring is the word that I was looking for. Yeah.
But
so
I
this
think
was
you
it?
guys reached the goal.
I think so. Let's hope so.
Let's go eat some burgers.
Yeah, maybe in the comment section you could write us down how you like the final outcome. I think it looks really cool. Maybe we need a classic Five Guys cap as well in here. But other than that, I really like the outcome.